Random Waffle, episode 1. Why am I making this video and what is it about? Well, the reason I'm making this video, some of you will know I hurt my back last Friday. I herniated a disc and I was going to be recording a review of the Next Level Racing wheel stand DD for Friday that's just gone. But obviously I wasn't able to do that. I couldn't be crawling about on the floor assembling wheel stands. I was kind of stuck on the sofa for a few days, and you know, it's been a week and a couple of days now, and I'm pretty much, you know, back to full mobility. I'm still a bit sore, but I'm okay. But yeah, so I couldn't get that, you know, video review done, and I kind of felt like I should do something if I can, you know, for my patrons, for the people that donate to the channel. You know, you feel a little bit of responsibility. You want to give something back for those people specifically, and for all my viewers, you know, in general. I do appreciate all of you. So I thought, well, I can't do anything physical this week, so how about we do a video where I just sort of talk about a few things to do with sim racing that's been on my mind over the last few weeks or months, even with some of these topics. And also answer a couple of questions and a couple of suggestions that people have had. So that's why I'm making the video. What's the video about? Well, I'll quickly run down some of the topics we're going to talk about. We're going to be talking about aluminium profile rigs and the price of them, some cheaper ones I've seen crop up over the last few months. We're going to talk about cheap eBay wheel stands that I've also seen crop up, so a similar theme to the alloy profile rigs. We're going to talk about an increase in second-hand sim racing gear that I've seen recently. We're going to have a brief conversation about the Logitech G923, as I'm sure that's on everyone's minds right now if you're looking to buy a wheel, or even if you're just interested in, you know, new sim hardware. We're going to talk about speaking of hardware, the HP Reverb G2 new VR headset that's coming out in October. And I'm going to answer a question about the FGT Lite and the Play Seat Challenge. And also a question about live streaming or videos of me doing some dirt rally racing. So let's get stuck into it. First of all, again, this really is, you know, for my patrons and my supporters. I feel like I need to give something, you know, each week if I can. So if you're not a patron or you don't support the channel in any way and you get value out of the videos, you get help out of the things I do, then it is appreciated. You know, if you want to, that'd be brilliant. There's info in the description, you know, if you want to go through and lob us a couple of pence in the pot, or even become a patron, that'd be great. The more I can get coming in, the more stuff I can buy, the more content I can make, you know, reviewing hardware and whatnot. But you know, don't feel obliged. Obviously, that's only if you can and if you feel like you want to, and if you do, it's appreciated. Also, talking about I suppose monetary related things. Don't forget also, if you're looking to buy anything from GT Omega or from Sim Racing Studio, there are discount codes in the description of all my videos that will give you, I think it's 5% off from either of those manufacturers. So if you are looking to spend some money, follow those links, use the codes, you'll save yourself a few quid. So, you know, trying to give back a little bit as well there. And obviously I also do get a small commission if you buy something using my code. So I get a little bit of money towards the channel and you guys save a little bit of money off your purchase. So it's a win-win. But yes, so yeah, right, let's get to the first subject of today's random waffle. I've noticed over this lockdown period, in the Facebook sim racing groups, specifically these UK ones that I'm a member of, people knocking up aluminium profile rigs and selling them to other sim racers. Now, I'll put a picture up of one. I'm not going to put the guy's name. I'll block that out or cut it off, whatever I need to do, because I haven't asked him, I haven't spoken to him about it. But these rigs look pretty decent, you know, to be fair. For, I think it's 220 quid for the basic rig. If you compare that to, say, SimLab's P1X, which seems to be everyone's go-to Ali profile rig, this is much cheaper. And you know, ultimately, aluminium profile is aluminium profile. I mean, there's going to be varying qualities, but as long as it's, you know, decent and not some cheap Chinese crap that's going to fall to pieces, or when you try and do the T-bolts and nuts up, they just shear off. As long as it's actually, you know, reasonable quality. Aluminium profile is aluminium profile, just lengths of rectangular aluminium in different sizes, cut to the length you need. If you look in the picture here, there's nice plastic end caps put on there to finish it off. You know, it looks like a decent little rig. Now, I've not got one. I haven't got the money to buy one and try one out. I would be interested to do so, so maybe I will at some point if I get enough money come in to do that. But if any of you lot out there have bought any of these, let me know in the comments whether they're any good, what you think of them. The sort of comments I'm seeing in the Facebook groups are all positive, so you know they seem like a reasonable buy, you know, for the money. But again, I've seen this crop up over the last sort of 5 or 6 months. I can't remember if I see them before COVID really kicked off here in the UK or not, or whether there's something that's just materialised because of that massive influx in new sim racers over the lockdown period. That's why, you know, things are sold out everywhere still. Maybe these are cropped up directly as a result of the extra demand, you know, and these few sellers saw an opportunity there to produce something that looks pretty decent. I mean, like I say, Ali Profile is pretty much Ali Profile, but at a fraction of the price of what the big boys are selling them for. So if anyone's had one, let me know what they're like. I mean, there's not much to go wrong. There's not much they have to do. They just need to bolt together, and you just need to be able to bolt your steering wheel and your pedals and your shifter to it. So I'm sure they're pretty good. But yeah, let me know. Sort of talking about Ali profile rigs, I keep wanting to say alloy and Ali, and I'm mixing the words together. Aluminium profile rigs. I'm looking at some point to upgrade my GT Omega Art cockpit, which is what I have now. And, you know, aluminium profile rigs is what people just seem to go to as being the best of the best. Now, I personally, and this is very much a personal thing, I really don't like the look of aluminium profile rigs. They look a bit industrial. They're not very aesthetic, you know. They're not pretty, for want of a better word. They're just, I mean, they're functional. They're great for customization. You can do whatever you want with them. Absolutely, 100%. I just don't like the way they look. The black ones look better. I admit, I do prefer a black one. If I was going to have an aluminium profile rig, one in black to me looks much nicer than one in just, you know, sort of bare aluminium. But I really don't like the way they look. I've been looking at the RC N1, I think it is. I'll put a picture of that up now. They do these in a variety of colours. And I must say the white one is really leaping out at me. Now, these are a beefy looking cockpit. So, and whilst they don't have the customisation of an aluminium profile rig, I'm sure they're going to be pretty rigid. You know, be able to take a DD wheel without any problems. So I've been looking at those, and maybe one day when I do get round to upgrading, when I get enough money together, that's probably what I'm going to go for, because I just love the tubular shape of it all, the way it all flows, you know, versus just lengths of rectangular aluminium bolted together sat in the corner of the room. It just doesn't do it for me. Now, this obviously is totally down to opinions and each to their own. You know, maybe some of you out there love the way the aluminium profiles look. Maybe some of you will be in my camp and like the way this tubular cockpit flows. But, you know, again, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Maybe some of you out there have got, you know, the RC N1. I think it's the N1. Let me know how you got on with it, because I would be, you know, that's probably on my shopping list for some point in the future. So it'd be cool to hear if anyone's got any experience with it. And again, let me know your thoughts, aluminium profile versus something like this RC. Not in a customization point of view. We know the customization is going to be easier with the aluminium profile, but purely for the way it looks, who would rather have something that looks like the RC, all nice flowing tubular, you know, design in their front room or their games room, versus just some lengths of aluminium bolted together, albeit they do a good job. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on that. So next thing I wanted to talk about, again, something I've seen crop up over the last few months, perhaps to do with the demand again for sim racing gear, is these cheap wheel stands on eBay. They're obviously Chinese made, not by any manufacturer that we've heard of. Has anyone bought one? They are a half to a third of the price of something from GT Omega or Next Level Racing. So they are way, way cheaper. Now, we do, there's a big element of get what you pay for when it comes to sim racing hardware, up to a point where I think you then pay over the odds just to go up that last little sort of 3%. But this is the opposite end of the scale. This is going super, super cheap. And is it so cheap that it's going to fall apart after a few hours use? Are they actually any good? Again, I'll put the question out to you guys. Have any of you bought one of these cheap wheel stands? Or there might even be some full cockpits. I'd have to have a look back through the listings and check. But wheel stands are what caught my attention. Again, I might well grab one of these to do a review because they are so cheap that I can afford to buy one, for the channel and let you lot know whether it's any good or not, whether it's worth having, because they're a carbon copy of the GT Omega Apex and of the Next Level Racing wheel stand, what they just call wheel stand. It looks exactly the same. But, it's about the quality of the welds, the fit and finish of everything, do the bolts. I'm sure you've all bought a piece of cheap furniture at some point where you get the screws and the fixings out the packet and the head of the screw, it isn't even centralised, and you think to yourself, how much money are they really saving by going this cheap? And yet there you are trying to screw this cheap screw in with the head wobbling round on the wonk because it hasn't been machined properly. So are these cheap wheel stands going to be that sort of quality where they're really just no use? I mean, I've had heads like that just snap off as well when you're screwing them in. So I'm sure you've all been there. You've all seen stuff that bad. Are these wheel stands that cheap and that crap, or are they actually usable? Again, if you bought one, let me know in the comments. I may try to get one in when I've got a spare 50 or 60 quid kicking about and have a look for myself. But that, along with the aluminium profile rigs, are things I've seen crop up over the last sort of 5 or 6 months. Again, I can't remember if I've seen them before COVID and the big surge in sim racing sales or not, but they might be things that have materialised because of a demand, and absolutely why not? Especially these aluminium profile rigs, if they're saving people, £400-500, maybe more, but doing just as good a job as some of the SimLab stuff, then that's just brilliant for the sim racing community all round. The wheel stands, again, same thing. If they're all right, then well, that's only a good thing, But yeah, let me know if you've had one or tried one, and maybe I'll get to try one or both of those things as well at some point. So what else was I going to talk about, or waffle about, I should say? Right. So again, talking about COVID and the massive spike in sim racing sales, all new people coming into sim racing, they're all stuck at home thinking, let's give this sim racing lark a go. They go out there, they buy everything they need, which is why everything bloody sold out. That coupled with, a global slowdown in being able to get things around the world and get things manufactured. Now, what I'm seeing a lot of is people that went in balls deep right at the beginning of lockdown, and they're now back to work, they're now back to a more normal life where they haven't got the time that they did have being stuck at home, and they seem to have lost interest in sim racing, and they're putting their stuff up for sale. I'm seeing it in the Facebook groups, I'm seeing it on eBay, I'm seeing it on Gumtree, and there's an opportunity here, I think, where we've been struggling to get hold of stuff. I think there's now going to be an opportunity for people to buy stuff that's essentially still brand new and had almost no use for perhaps a reasonably discounted price. Now, there's some people I'm seeing, they're still asking basically new money. And I mean, it's understandable. They've paid new money for it 3 or 4 months ago. It still looks and behaves like a brand new piece of equipment, and they don't want to lose too much money. But the problem with that is very few of us want to pay almost new money for something that is effectively secondhand. I mean, aside from the fact that maybe we can't get one of those, whatever it might be, because they're out of stock, if the price is close between secondhand and new, you're going to buy the new one because you know it comes with a full warranty. You're not going to have any problems returning it or having some sort of support should you need it. Whereas if you get the second-hand one, the warranty is probably not transferable with a lot of these items, in which case if there is a problem in a couple of months or in 6 months, you're stuck with something you paid almost new money for, but that's now got a problem or broken completely. But it's good that these things are coming back up for sale, because the shortage we've all been experiencing because of COVID is now gradually going to start disappearing because this, the market's starting to not flood with second-hand stuff, but there's more and more of it coming on every day that I'm noticing. So that's good for availability. It means those of us that need things are going to be able to get hold of things. But we are going to have to, take the risk of going second-hand and perhaps not having the warranty come with it. And they do really need to be selling these things at a price that reflects the fact that perhaps there's no warranty. You are seeing the opposite in some instances because some things are still unavailable. Some of these guys are even trying to sell stuff for more than what they paid for it because they know you can't just go to Thrustmaster or to Logitech or to Fanatic and just buy one off the shelf because there's no stock, and they know that people still want them. It's blatant profiteering. I'm not a fan of it, to be honest, but we all go to work to earn money. People that buy and sell things to make money do it to make money. If you've bought something and there's a demand for it, that means the prices have gone up and you can make money. You could look at it that way. It's no different to running any business where you want to make a profit. None of us go to work for free, just to help people out. So I can kind of see where if there's an opportunity to make some profit, you would. But at the same time, from the buyer's point of view, if I was looking to buy something and it's 50 quid or £100 more than it should be, it leaves a bad taste, in your mouth, and you don't always think best of the seller, rightly or wrongly. Again, let me hear your thoughts on what you think about that, whether you think earning a few extra quid out of something because of demand, outstripping supply, is okay, or whether you think people should, take a hit because it's now second-hand. Nothing, maybe, I don't know, I can't even put a percentage on it, but a reasonable discount because it is second-hand, whether people should be doing that, or whether it's okay for, them to try and claw back as much money as they can. Because ultimately, if you've bought something, it's now 3 months old, maybe you spent a few £100, maybe you spent £700-800, maybe you spent £1,500, went balls deep, bought a whole 3-4 grand rig, who knows, and you've decided you're just not going to use it. Clawing back, as much of your money as you can is not a bad thing. We'd all want to do it rather than just throw money away for nothing. So many angles to look at this from. I don't know. I think as a seller, you want to get your money back. As a buyer, you want to get a good deal. We'll probably all end up somewhere in the middle, ultimately. But, it's just something I've been noticing and something I've been thinking about, over the last few months. And really, that's what this video is about. I hope it flows okay. It is just me waffling about random things. I've got a little list on the screen behind me there to remind me what I wanted to talk about, because otherwise I would just forget. But what we got next? So that was the second-hand stuff, potentially flooding the market. So the next thing I wanted to have a quick chat about was this new Logitech G923, and well, it's kind of disappointing because it came out of nowhere. I'd not heard any leaks or anything about it. I don't know if any of you guys had. It just materialised one day. There's a new wheel from Logitech G923, and naturally you go, oh, brilliant! What have they improved upon? What have they added? Because the G920 has been a staple for years now as an entry-level wheel setup, and rightly so. Decent little wheel to get people going. But you think, oh, they haven't released anything in ages. What have they gone and brought out? What have they done? And then when you see it stripped down, it is 99% exactly the same as the previous one. Now, the only real difference physically inside is the driver board, which is the board that physically controls the current flow to the motors, which allows for slightly more precise and faster response, I believe, from what I've seen in other videos and other information about this new wheel. The motors are the same, the gearing's the same, everything else is pretty much the same. It even looks essentially the same. They've added a dual clutch feature, which is really a software feature. You can set your button to be a clutch. Nothing to get hyped up about, that's for sure. The biggest thing that they're pushing with this is this new True Force force feedback that they're really pushing. Now this is interesting because from what I can tell, I haven't got one. Logitech don't even know I exist, I'm assuming, and they haven't sent me one for review. And again, I haven't got the money to go buy one just to review it. But this is from what I've seen, looking about at other video teardowns, reading the Logitech sales page and their technical information. So TrueForce looks like it's using the game's telemetry data to provide similar feedback to what you get from tactile transducers. So, engine vibrations, lumps and bumps in the road, things like that, in addition to the normal forces you would feel through any force feedback wheel. Now, it looks like they're doing this through the motors. They haven't added a transducer in there. So it looks like this new driver board that gives them a greater degree of control over the motors. It looks like they're using the motors to provide this additional sort of physical feedback that you feel. And whilst it's kind of interesting, it's not leaps and bounds beyond what the wheel was doing before. The motors are exactly the same. The newton meters is still 2 or 2.5 newton meters, whatever it is, 2.3, something like that. So you're not getting any better force feedback for your primary forces. It's a bit like getting a transducer and strapping it to the underneath of the wheelbase and using some additional software to take the game telemetry and give you those additional sort of feedbacks, those vibrations and what have you. At least that's what it looks from what I can see and what I can tell. I might be wrong because I haven't got one. I can't physically try it, but it's what it looks like. Now, how can I describe this? They've incorporated this TrueForce setup. It doesn't just take game telemetry data from the normal data streams that we get out of our sims, that all the other transducers and motion platforms would use, because it seems like the games need to support TrueForce. They need to have it inbuilt to the game, to the sim, and be sending out a very specific signal that the Logitech software understands and then translates to movement in the wheel. Because there's only a few titles listed that support it, when in reality, if it was just using the normal telemetry data stream, pretty much all the sims would support it. So it's a little bit weird, a little bit bespoke in that respect. And this leads me on to another thought, which is if game developers, sim developers, are on board with this, they've obviously spoken to Logitech, developed this with Logitech, that's quite a big deal. And it's quite a lot of effort for them to have gone to just to support this. I mean, I'm going to say low-end wheel. It is a low-end wheel, it's an entry-level wheel, but it's also probably the most popular wheel on the planet. And I was about to say that for them to have gone to the trouble of incorporating this new software, this telemetry stream out specifically for only one wheel, it seems like a lot of effort for not much. But in reality, when it's the most popular wheel on the planet, if you're going to do it for anything, do it for that one. So maybe it isn't a strange thing to do. I was thinking in my head, perhaps Logitech have another wheel in development or another product that also uses TrueForce. And that's why they've developed it in association with the game developers and sim developers, because supporting more than one product would seem like more of a worthwhile investment of their time. But again, Logitech G923, probably the most popular wheel on the planet. So, but then saying that, it's not backward compatible. They can't update the firmware on a G920 and make it support TrueForce. It doesn't have that driver board that the G923 does. So, whilst the G920 might be the most popular wheel on the planet, the G923 isn't yet because they haven't sold that many. And that's going to take time to get numbers up. So, I don't know. It's weird. Maybe they have got more products coming that are going to support this TrueForce feature. I just don't know. Again, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this, because it seems like they're going to a lot of trouble hooking up with the game developers, getting this all sorted out, and then they've got to wait for these G923s to sell in such large numbers that it was worth the investment. Interesting, or at least I think it's interesting. Anyway, yeah, let me know what you guys think. So, yeah, what else shall I waffle about today? Okay, yeah, so virtual reality. A lot of people use VR for sim racing. Some people prefer triples, some people prefer a big single screen, some people prefer virtual reality. My personal opinion, virtual reality blows away triples, it blows away a large single screen. There's just nothing like it. When you first fire it up and you're sat there in your virtual car and you've got your dashboard in front of you and a windscreen and you look around for the first time and you realise, holy crap, I'm sat in a car. I can see my gear stick, I can see my heater controls, I can see my dials. You're holding your real steering wheel in real life and it's in exactly the same place as the wheel you see in front of you in virtual reality. It's amazing. There's just nothing like it. And when you're out there and you're racing and you're looking the apex of corners or you're looking over your shoulder, you have to see you're there. There's nothing, no amount of triples or big screens can come close. Honestly, it absolutely can't. But I get motion sickness, so it's a ball ache. I can only race for a little while and then I have to take it off and I have to leave it. So to be honest, because of that, most of the time I race on a single big screen and it annoys the crap out of me because I love racing in virtual reality. It's so much better in every way, but it just makes me feel like crap. So I can probably do an hour before I start like sweating and feeling a bit nauseous. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked here. But then this is a waffling video, so let's waffle. I've pre-ordered an HP Reverb G2, which is a new VR headset from HP. It's been made in association with Valve, who do the Valve Index, and it has the highest resolution screen, or screens, I believe it's 2 individual screens, of any VR headset in the consumer market space. It's 2160 by 2160 per eye. Now that is ridiculous. Watching all the previews, the through the lens videos, MRTV and Tyriel Wood's amazing through the lens videos, it just looks amazing. The level of detail you can see now versus even the Valve Index, which was the flagship, I would say, prior to this, when it comes out, it just makes it look like a turd. And honestly, it does. If you haven't seen this through the lens footage, go and look at MRTV or Tyriel Wood's channels. I think the MRTV ones are a little better, in my opinion. You can see the differences a bit easier. It just blows everything else away. Now, the field of view is a touch narrower than the Valve Index, but quite a bit wider than, say, the Rift S or the Cosmos, or Cosmos is crap anyway, or some of the other ones. So you're getting a decent field of view, and what those guys are saying is that in spite of it being slightly narrower than the Valve Index, they're still using this. They've got like pre-production models, so they're not even the final product. They're using those now as their daily VR headsets instead of the Valve Index, because the clarity of the image just blows everything away. Not only the clarity, the colours look amazing. They almost look like an OLED panel. The blacks are that good when they're not. They're LCD stripe matrix, I believe, is what it actually is. So the colours are amazing, the blacks are amazing. The lenses that Valve have produced for use in this headset are incredibly good. They've given a massive sweet spot. If you're not familiar with what that is, it means, so Rift S, for example, unless you're looking in the centre of the lenses, it's very, very blurry around the rest of the area. If you move your eyes around rather than your head and you look off centre, blurry as crap, really, really bad. So you've got to look forward, basically, and just move your head if you want to look around. The sweet spot on this Reverb G2 is massive. You can literally look around using your eyes, and so in the very outer, I thought 5 to 10% that goes slightly blurry. So the clarity is incredible, sweet spot's incredible, colours, blacks look incredible, and because of this resolution, 2160 by 2160, there's almost no screen door effect. I've done a video about that. Basically, you can see the individual pixels on lower resolution headsets because they're right in front of your eyes. You can literally see the pixels if you have a white image up, because you can see the gaps in between them all. So the greater the resolution, the smaller the pixels, the smaller the sub pixels, you just can't see it. So it almost looks real. if you were to have a PC powerful enough to do photorealistic VR, it would almost look real. It looks absolutely incredible. But anyway, I've pre-ordered one for the offer price of £525. I think the full retail is 6.5, something like that. So it was a hell of a discount. I couldn't say no to it. Even though I get motion sickness, I thought, no, this is too good a deal to miss. And I've been looking to upgrade my VR headset for some time because I've still got a Rift CV1 with the original ones, and I have access to a Rift S as well that I can use. But to be honest, I've been waiting for something like this to come along that really steps up from that first generation. The Valve Index is good, but the price, of course, is ridiculous. It's £1,000, and I can't justify £1,000 for a VR headset. I just don't have £1,000. $525 on the other hand. My Mrs. Katie goes, Carl, you got to get. She goes, I'll give you some money towards it for your birthday, because my birthday is coming up in October, which is when this is actually being released. I got an email the other day, and I thought, no, you're right. I've got to get it. It just looks incredible. So I'll be doing a full review of that from a sim racer's point of view, obviously for this channel, and also I'll play some other games in it as well. So that will be coming in October. So expect some content about that. If you've got any questions about it, feel free to put them in the comments. If I can answer them, I will. If you have pre-ordered one, if you're a VR sim racer, let me know that in the comments as well. We'll have a little natter about how excited we are to get our new headsets come October, because VR headsets, just like a lot of the sim racing stuff at the moment, it's all still out of stock everywhere. It's all still hard to get. And so once these pre-orders, what HP have said is they'll fulfill the pre-orders, but once the pre-orders are fulfilled, they can't then guarantee when the next production run will be and when you'll be able to buy more. So they've actually delayed the release of the pre-order orders by a month because the demand has been way bigger than expected. And what they've promised is that everybody that pre-orders will get their HP Reverb G2 on the very first day of release delivered to their door. So because there's been so many pre-orders, they've had to delay the release to be able to produce and fulfill those pre-orders so that everyone gets it exactly the same time, rather than someone getting theirs early and then someone else going, oh yeah, but I pre-ordered it too, where's mine? So they've made us all wait, which is a bit of a niggle because I was looking forward to getting it. You know, what are we in now? We're getting towards September. I was looking forward to getting it, you know, in a couple of weeks. But it looks like it's going to be beginning of October now, a bit nearer to my birthday, which isn't a bad thing. You know, I don't really mind. And the other thing, of course, is resolution of 2160 by 2160 at 90 hertz is going to require a girthy graphics card to run it. Now, I have a 2080 non-TI, so the original 2080, not a super variant either. And it looks like it should be okay, but ultimately this is a game per game basis. We know some sims are poorly optimized for VR and just run like crap, even on older headsets. So God knows how they're going to run on something such high resolution as the Reverb G2. Now, you can run it at 50% resolution, which will scale everything perfectly so it won't look weird, and that will obviously drop the demand on your PC, the load on the PC, but you'll still have all the benefits bar the crispness of the resolution. You'll still have the colours, the blacks, the sweet spot, no God rays, all those other advantages. You just won't have the pixel perfect sharpness that you would if you can run it at full resolution. So I'm hoping, again, this is a money thing, I'm hoping to get one of the new RTX cards that are coming out in a few weeks as well, one of the 3000 series, but the prices on those could just be ridiculous. So I use the word hoping, and I'm really leaning on that word hoping, because there's a real genuine chance that I just will not be able to afford it. You know, it's going to be, they're not going to be cheap. They're really not, because the performance specs look like they're going to really blow away the 2080 series of cards. So they're not going to make these so cheap that then they have to drop the price of all those down a lot. You know, I can't see it. What I can see happening is them just making the new series that bit more expensive. So I think they might even be out of reach for a lot of people, potentially including myself. But regardless, I got my 2080, so we'll see how that runs, the new G2. Again, let me know if you've got one pre-ordered. Let me know if you'd be interested to see some video content about it when I get it. I'm pretty certain you probably will. But yeah, that's the HP Reverb G2. So what have I got to waffle about next? Oh yeah, so I've had a couple of people ask me, FGT Lite Play Seat Challenge, my personal choice. Obviously I did a back-to-back video going through all the differences, and I ultimately said it's up to you which one you prefer. And I got asked the other day, Carl, if you had to choose, what would you buy? Now, I've got my Play Seat Challenge. It's in the background over there. I think you can just about make it out. Whereas the FGT Lite, I moved on. 2 reasons. One, that Play Seat owes me 60 quid, and the FGT Lite was worth a couple of hundred notes. And in a time of COVID where I've taken a big hit in my income, any additional money that comes in is really, really helpful. So I couldn't have something just sitting around that was worth a couple of hundred notes that I wasn't going to use. And that's the key thing here. For my size, the Play Seat Challenge fits me just fine. And they're both as rigid as each other. They both accept steering wheels, pedals, and with a shifter mount, shifters, and they're both comfortable. But that's really just for someone my size. If you are a bigger guy, then I would say you get the FGT Lite. If you can afford one, because they are expensive compared to the, well, not expensive, but they're more money than the Play Seat Challenge. And if you have the space for it, because it is noticeably bigger, you know. So, you know, to answer my personal choice is the Play Seat Challenge. It's that bit smaller, so it can fold away quicker and easier and store to one side with taking up less space. And it fits me just fine. So that's what I would choose. If I was a bigger guy and I had a bit more money kicking about and I had a bit more extra space kicking about, then I would have the FGT Lite. Because it is that bit bigger, that little bit more comfortable if you're a larger guy. But that's the only reason I would choose that one over the Play Seat Challenge. Probably just down to your physical size and how much money you've got. So I hope that answers that question for you. And the last thing I want to waffle about today is I've had a few people ask me, Carl, if you ever thought about doing a live stream, we were doing some dirt rally, or even just, you know, pre-recording a video of you doing some dirt rally, you'd like to see my driving. Now, as much as I would like to do this, and I answered this question only the other day in the comments to somebody, I said a lot of people do live streams where they're racing or pre-recorded videos where they're racing, and YouTube's flooded with it, and I think people get bored of it. So I don't want to bore my subscribers with, you know, videos of me just doing stages in dirt rally. I'm sure some of you might find it interesting because you've been asking me, but I just sort of think most people will probably find it a little bit uninteresting. And one of the reasons for that is that I can't talk whilst I drive. Every time I try and do a driving segment in one of my review videos and I'm trying to talk, all I do is crash. And it makes me look like a terrible driver, which is embarrassing. Now, I'm not the best driver in the world, but I'm way better than what it looks like if you look at the driving segments of any of my review videos. They're all terrible, and I just can't, especially in dirt rally this is, because that's what I race in more than anything. I just can't concentrate. I can't hear the co-driver calls, and you just got to be so focused with dirt rally, at least I have. You know, adjusting that car, just keeping it in check, because otherwise you'll lose it and you'll be off into a tree or into a field or into a bank or whatever else. And I just can't talk and drive like that at the same time. I'd either have to drive a lot slower, in which case it would look crap and really boring, or I'd have to just shut up, pretend the camera's not on, and drive like I would normally drive, which admittedly would look much better because you'll see me pulling off some lovely handbrake turns, sliding around corners, and, you know, all the things that make rally driving fun. So it would be a lot more interesting to watch from a technical point of view, but there would be no speech from me. like you just see this concentration face where I'm doing nothing but trying to stay in a straight line and keep the car going where I want it to go. So I might try and do a pre-recorded one, because at least if I pre-record it rather than live stream it, if it goes badly, I don't have to post it. Whereas if I do a live stream and I just drive like crap and everyone goes, "Oh, Carl, you shit," then it's too late, because it's happening live and there's nothing I can do about it. So we'll see what happens. I may or may not do one. But anyway, that's the answer to that question. Anyway, what have I really been waffling for 40 minutes? Wow. Okay, well, this is the end of Random Waffle episode 1. I say episode 1 because if people like this sort of content where I'm just talking about different subjects and what have you, maybe I'll do some more. If this video tanks and nobody likes it, then I won't do any more. Let me know in the comments whether you like this sort of random waffle, or whether you'd rather I just stuck to, my hardware reviews and my setup guides and things like that. But yeah, thank you all for listening in, tuning into my random waffle. As I mentioned at the beginning, don't forget there's discount codes in my description of every video for GT Omega Sim Racing Studio. Use those, it helps me and it helps you. And if you really want to help me, there's donation link and there's a link to my Patreon page as well. Again, don't feel like you have to. You completely don't. I enjoyed making this content as much as hopefully you enjoy watching it. But ultimately, the more revenue that comes in, the better I can make the channel. So I do appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for tuning into my waffle. As always, take it easy and I'll see you soon.